I got some fresh baked goods from the auction. I made a couple cakes for the auction to be auctioned off. And
whoa! You made the cakes?
I absolutely made one of the cakes.
Okay, all right. Just being clear.
We took a couple cakes down for the auction. Tracy, my mother helped out with one, and I actually made myself a marble cake with chocolate frosting. And look, it was a great day, but I did come back with a little bit of a sunburn.
A man of many skills, though. We'll add that one, cake baker, down there. Put that on the list.
Let's not get carried away, Bill. I'm usually a baker. I don't mind barbecuing and cooking some things and taking care of some dinners. But baking is certainly not something that I would put in my skills list of things that I do. But look, I was asked a couple of weeks ago if I would help out with the auction by donating a cake, and I thought, well, here's an opportunity to help out a great organization that's doing a big fundraiser. It's one of their biggest fundraisers of the year, and it was certainly a great day yesterday at Ottawa House.
Well, you went there to help them, of course, with their fundraising effort, but it was Canada Day, and you, I know, would have to wave the flag at some point. And I came away yesterday. I was just kind of bubbling last night at the sensations that I kind of went through yesterday. I mean, I followed a little bit on television, a little bit out on the street in front of here. Big parade went right by my door. The whole atmosphere of Canada Day, the presentation of the Prime Minister, and this is not a political statement on my part, but he is the Prime Minister and he is ministerial. And just everything that happened yesterday gave me this sense of pride just whelming up in me in a way like I can't remember. And was it just me, or did you feel Canada Day 2025 was a little bit more special?
Yeah, no, there was a different feeling yesterday. Absolutely, I got a chance to go to the Spring Hill celebration, and obviously you don't get everywhere. You certainly want to get everywhere, but I got to go to the Spring Hill celebration. My daughter got to play in the foam pit, and we also the municipality councillors Angel and Scott graciously invited me to help them take part in their cake cutting and listen to a little bit of Derail. But then we left from there and went to Ottawa House, spent some time at Ottawa House, and helped them do their cake auction and things. And came back home. I took a quick tour over by the street dance in Oxford. So we wrapped the day up with a barbecue from my brother who was visiting from New Brunswick, and it was a great day. It was a great feeling. Certainly a change in atmosphere and celebration, but also I think the weather had a big part to do with it too. We had beautiful weather for the day, and it was just a great celebration all over.
It was indeed, but I'm kind of getting this, call it a small p political feeling deep in my soul, if you will, with Canada right now, perhaps leading the world into a deeper understanding of freedom, a deeper understanding of democracy, a deeper understanding of doing things right. And maybe I just read into it, but I got the sense from you last week, in fact, that Canada's different today. And we're going to be different tomorrow, and it's within our grasp to be different in a very, very strong way, a very, very good way, leading the world. And that's a sense I get. I know that you've been filled with optimism about the potential for Nova Scotia, and it spills over because people in other provinces are sensing it, I think, as well. So that's where I'm coming from, is that sense of tomorrow is going to be a whole lot brighter.
Well, exactly, Bill. And you and I have talked about this different times. And there was something that happened in January, and that was the swearing in of the president to the south of our border. And as much as we're talking about tariffs are on, tariffs are off. We're going to do this today. No, we're not going to do that tomorrow. Just the unknown. I think it all really started in January, outside of our federal or provincial politics. The politics to the south of the border has actually made us more adapt to what we can do as Nova Scotians, what we can do as Canadians, and not necessarily rely on other countries for our prosperity or our economic development. And when last week, the week and a half ago, when the House of Commons rose for their summer break, the power and politics conversation that was taking place when our provincial Premier Houston, was named the political landscape changer of the first part of 2025, leading the country on breaking down borders and trade borders, creating optimism within our province, changing how healthcare is looked at. When we have a small province like Nova Scotia, but when you're Premier, no matter what political stripe, as you said a minute ago, this isn't about politics. But when our province is being looked at as leading the nation and helping move things forward, that's a great time to be celebrating, and what a great opportunity to do it as Canada Day. In Canada Day, but there's a lot of optimism here for Nova Scotia. There's a lot of optimism for our country, and it is time to be proud. And that there's a lot of work that has taken place, but there's a lot more work that has to happen, and we're ready for that.
You know, you probably well know that last time I talked to the Premier just a few weeks ago, I raised the specter, the possibility that he might make a bid for leadership of the federal Conservative Party. If he did, it would have to change, or it would have to change in order to accept him as leader. But I mused out loud that he could very well make a run for Prime Minister. And of course, he didn't say a flat out no. No politicians don't ever seem to do that anyway. But we've had the sense that he was coming into leadership in Nova Scotia for a short period. He didn't want to make it a lifelong career, and that he would give his all for a short period and then leave. And when I raised that, other people came to me afterwards and said, now that I think about it, if he's getting a lot of accolades for being first in opening up the doors to doctors, first in opening up the provincial barriers to free trade, first in a whole bunch of innovative ways and approaches. And what do you think, as a cabinet minister, working with him closely as you do, what do you think of the prospects of him becoming Prime Minister?
Well, I'm one that would never hold anybody back, and that goes with colleagues that I've worked with, people that have worked for me, or family and friends. I would never hold anybody back. But I asked the Premier point blank a couple months ago when this conversation started, sort of in the media. I don't think the Premier actually infused this conversation. Media sort of started picking up on this and asking comments. And I asked the Premier point blank. And he made a solemn commitment. Look, I am Premier of Nova Scotia. That's what I was elected to do right now. Opportunities do knock at every individual, whether you're the Premier, Prime Minister, or whether you're like I was, an electrician and plant manager at a local facility, and opportunities do arise. But right now, his sole 100% commitment is into making Nova Scotia better and making sure that Nova Scotia is recognized on the national and international playing fields. And he's doing a fantastic job. Let's be very honest. He's putting his heart and soul into it right now. But if opportunity knocks, that will be a decision that the Premier and his family will have to make. And but for right now, we have a solemn commitment that he's working very hard for every Nova Scotian right now.
And I'm not surprised to hear you say that. And that would be, of course, a natural political answer to his making a commitment to the province. And he said the same thing. But, we know in the past that we've had excellent premiers who went on to seek leadership federally. And I think of the statement that's made over and over and has been for years and years and years when talking about Robert Stanfield, saying and calling him the best prime minister we never had. And I think about Tim Houston, wondering if someday, if he doesn't offer, if we might say the same thing about him.
And again, that's a question that's being asked. I ran into at a meeting in Halifax. I ran into an individual from out west in Saskatchewan, and they had said that your Premier's name is a household name at West because of the barriers that they're tearing down and the opportunities that you're creating for your province. And the question was, is he eventually sometime going to be leader and a Prime Minister? I don't know, but the question would bear, and they compared it to Stanfield as well, Bill. So I don't know if you know this individual or not from out west, but they made the same comparison. But and you hear it all the time, and you've heard me talk about Premier McNeil at the time as well when I was in opposition. Premier McNeil worked very hard for Nova Scotia. May have had different beliefs on different sides of the house, but the premiers don't get to the premier seat without working very hard, and I feel very confident that that's what our premier is doing right now, working very hard for Nova Scotia.
Now, didn't I hear a little birdie tell me that you might have him hand in hand walking around Cumberland South sometime soon?
Well, I don't know about hand in hand, but we will be side by side. And I just came into my office, and I understand that they're pulling into Spring Hill right now. So we are doing a bit of a tour in through Cumberland South today. Some private meetings, but also doing a couple tours. The new fire station in Spring Hill is one of the things that the Premier wanted to see as well, and capture of what is going on. So this is actually the second minister, if you will. He being the first minister, but the second minister that's been in Cumberland South this week. We also had the Minister of Education here on Monday to celebrate the official opening, but the official closing of the first year of the school, at the elementary school, with the official plaque unveiling on Monday with the students and staff. So it's been a busy week here in Cumberland South with two ministers visiting and Canada Day celebrations taking place. But yeah, looking forward in the next half hour to start that tour with the Premier in Cumberland South.
Well, if this was coming up on election time, I'd say I understand you take him to the school thing, or you take him to the new fire hall. But he doesn't really need to see any of those things, and there is no election campaign, so there's got to be more to it. Where do you take the Premier, other than what you've described already? What's the real reason behind bringing him here to show him firsthand what it is either that you are hoping to achieve or what is needed in the community?
Yeah, so every summer, ever since the Premier has been leader and now Premier, he has come to visit Cumberland South with me, and we've gone to visit different businesses, similar to what we're going to do today. Visit different businesses, visit different project sites with some things that might be on the radar, some quick visits with local municipal representatives. But basically, I think Bill, the Premier's somebody that likes to be out in the community and actually listening and having conversations with people and supporting small businesses. So it's an array of businesses just to stop in and visit and say, hey, let people know we're here. Let people know we're working for them. What are some of the concerns? What are some of the ideas? I can think back to one of the very first tours that the Premier, when he was leader of the official opposition, back in 2020, one of our very first visits was with the group from the Geopark, just after the Geopark was announced that it was a UNESCO Geopark. But he's come every summer for a tour and to reconnect with some people and new people. So it's really no different today. We'll be stopping in, doing some municipal visits, some private visits as well, but also some business visits.
Let's to put it into perspective then, if he's come every year, just think back to last year, summer before that perhaps, where you've taken him to an area of your constituency where you thought you needed a little bit of help or something like that, or a project that you thought needed a little bit of push. Can you think back to one where you took the Premier, showed him something that later transformed into a project or into a grant or into an accomplishment? Can you think of one?
I can think of many that we've gone to visit that have actually turned into a project. But one that would benefit all of Cumberland County, not just Cumberland South or one community. In the summer of 2023, if you recall, we had the wildfires that it was just announced that morning that we actually had them under control. We went and met with the NSCC campus in Spring Hill and met with the Principal Don McCormick at that time, and we were discussing programs and opportunities for the Cumberland campus and opportunities for all of Cumberland. And that's when I threw on the table to both Principal McCormick and the Premier that in 2018 I made a commitment that I wanted to see a residence built beside the Cumberland campus in Spring Hill. For many reasons. I had heard from residents or students that were coming to the Cumberland campus that were traveling as far away as Hammonds Plains on a daily basis because they couldn't get a residency or they couldn't find an apartment in Spring Hill. And I made that commitment in 2018 and talked about it in 2023. And lo and behold, that fall, the Premier gave me a call and said, "We're going to put it in the budget, and you're going to be able to announce it." And as you're aware, the new fire station's built in Spring Hill. It moved. It was going to be moved, and we saw an opportunity that right beside the NSCC, we could build that residency. So we now have occupation of that building, and the old Spring Hill Fire Hall will be coming down in due time, and a new residence will be built. At least 35 room residency will be built to support NSCC, but there's other opportunities for that as well. Recreational camps, soccer camps, hockey camps. What else can be put into the central core of Cumberland County to support the whole county as a whole? And during an announcement, we actually had somebody that doesn't live in my constituency but lives in Cumberland County was at the announcement of that new residency that was announced, and had said if it's good for Spring Hill, it's good for Cumberland County as a whole, and it's good for the province. Anything that we can invest in the economic turn, and NSCC is a huge part, as you and I've discussed many times. We need to increase the amount of trades that we're offering to Nova Scotia residents. We need to invest and create more opportunities for healthcare students to get into the healthcare programs. And there's golden opportunity right here in Cumberland County that we can do that.
Now, that idea that if it's good for Spring Hill, it's good for Cumberland, that sounds like something that Mayor Rod Gilroy would say. And I had a chance, I get to speak to him with regularity, as you know. And in the most recent interview, we talked about the residence property being built for the NSCC. And he came up with a reason for doing it that had never occurred to me. I wonder if it was ever in your mind. And that was that having the physical school here is one thing. Having a physical residence is a second anchor to ensure that the NSCC never leaves Spring Hill. Had that ever been part of your thinking?
Well, I think Mayor Gilroy might have stole that from my notes in 2018 in my news interview when I think it was the Amherst Daily News that I had that conversation. But with the influx and different changes of thoughts of how the NSCC works, it was always in my mind, how can we secure this structure, this institute in Cumberland County? And that was one of my comments in 2018. To have the NSCC here is one thing, but to secure it and anchor it with a residency, that's a second thing, and that holds the institution here for the benefit of all of Cumberland County, but quite frankly, all of Nova Scotia. We see hundreds graduate through there every year, 170 some this past year, I believe is what it was. Walk across the stage, and they're coming here to get their education. But even more importantly, as you talk to them, Bill, there's some that are staying here in Cumberland County to create their future and create their family here in Cumberland County as well. So it's an anchor point.
You might want to take the Premier and put him into the warm water down in the former mine or something and remind him about the potential of geothermal.
Well, quite frankly, the reason that we have the committee going between the department, the municipality, and NSCC is the interest that the Premier has in the geothermal. When I presented this to him 2.5 years ago, absolutely, let's get moving on this. This is another renewable energy that we need to capture for our areas and create the opportunity and the proof of concept here in Spring Hill, which we know we can do. We already do it. But we also know that the opportunity lays in many other areas of the province of Nova Scotia, with and without abandoned mines.
Well, I appreciate that, and I'm glad to know that you've got him making his annual visit to Cumberland South. Maybe someday we'll have a sitting member in Cumberland North that can bring the Premier in to take a look around here too. That would be good.
Well, we're always looking for the best of all Nova Scotians, Bill. And I can say, as you know as well, that the Premier has been in Cumberland North and doing visits as well. And it carries on that we're all one province.